Hey there, and welcome to another episode of your favorite libertarian. In today's episode, we are continuing our ongoing series on optimizing shotguns for home defense. This particular shotgun is the Beretta 1301 Tactical. And in today's video, we are going to be going from budget to baller. As you may have seen in some of the other videos of the series, somewhere up here or up here, we had a $1,500 shotgun that we tried to mod out to the best of our abilities within a budget, very affordably, so that we can maximize this for home defense use. So if you've tried all those things, or if you really just want to skip all those steps and go right to the more expensive options and really optimize this for home defense, then this is the start of that part of the video series within the video series. Because today we are taking this furniture that comes stock from Beretta and we're switching it out for the LTT or Langdon Tactical Technologies furniture kit. That's going to include a new forend and a new buttstock, and I'm excited. In this particular video, we're going to be talking about why I am choosing to replace this furniture set with a different one. We'll of course have a what's in the box segment. I'll be showing you how to take this apart and install the new furniture set for cleaning purposes, of course. And what would a video be without some awesome B-roll of the before and after footage? Now, with no further ado, let's get into the actual video.
I think that we've already know. Yeah, I think that we've already know. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've already know. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong.
This is the Beretta 1301 Tactical. This is what it looks like for the most part in its stock configuration. I have removed that clamp that's pretty much useless. For installation, we'll talk about why it's useless a little bit later in this video. But for right now, we're going to talk about why in the first place I wanted to switch out this forend and this stock. So why am I switching out this stock for the stock in the thumbnail? Well, there's a few reasons, but there's one glaringly obvious reason to me, which apparently isn't obvious to Beretta at all, because this is the third generation, it's still the same stock. This stock does not fit this shotgun. And what I mean by that is you have a bunch of different 1301 models for Beretta, and most of them have a bead front sight and no rear sight. So if you're bearing your cheek into this stock and you're looking at your bead sight, it lines up perfectly. And that's great for those shotguns. But for the Beretta 1301 Tactical model, you have a ghost ring sight. So the rear sight and the front sight sit higher. Because of that, the only way that you can actually align your sights is if you put your cheek here and then raise it up higher, eliminating consistency when you're placing your cheek on the stock, and also eliminating stability when you're shooting 12 gauge slugs, buckshot, etc. And that's a problem. You'd think at this point they would have figured it out by the third generation, given you a specific stock for the Beretta 1301 Tactical that's not a pistol grip, because I don't want the pistol grip. But they don't have that. So this is what you get if you're getting a non-pistol grip option, which is one of the reasons I'm switching this out. Another minor issue is that this angle for your wrist is not ideal. For me, having longer arms, even adjusting the length of pull, having longer arms, my wrist is already going to be cocked in a weird angle, and having a more natural or a more vertical grip angle for the shotgun is going to allow you to have a better placement for your trigger finger and just your hand in general as you're operating this shotgun. That's one of the other reasons why I'm switching this out for something else. In addition to that, let's talk about length of pull adjustment. So you have your length of pull adjustment right here. You have these spacers that come with it, so you can adjust the length of pull. The problem is it also doesn't seem like these spacers are really made for the shotgun. You can see there's like an overhang here, and then down here, instead of continuing down, it kind of like just cuts to flat and then comes down. So, it makes it look kind of weird. It doesn't look as good as when there's no spacer at all. And then in order to change out these spacers, it's a lot of work. You have really long screws that you have to take out, take the butt pad off, switch them out. And if you were wanting to actually shoot with this, not just like feel the length of pull, in your basement and see if you like it, but actually test out the different lengths of pull, this is not a quick process to switch out. So if you're just getting into shotguns, or maybe you're taller and you're not like an average size like most people that would fit the stock configuration, then it's going to take you a little bit longer to change those out. Also, kind of weird with a tactical shotgun, but there's no QD point at all in this stock. You have a front QD point, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, but no rear QD point, which doesn't make any sense. So you basically have to have a QD in the front of your sling, and then the weird outdated connector in the back of the sling to make this work, unless you do a $20 mod that I've shown in one of my other videos. Click up here or up here to see that. But otherwise, no way to attach a QD sling. Obviously, the next thing that I'm going to be switching out as far as furniture goes is the only other furniture that there is, which is this forend. Now, you might think, hey, why would you need to switch this out? It's a good forend, it's grippy, it works, and then you have this to attach all your stuff to, right? Wrong. At face value, you'd think that that's what this does, but it doesn't do it well, and here's why. When you attach this to the barrel and the magazine tube, and you go to clamp it down, all it's relying on to do that and stay in place is friction. As you can see here, there's no channel, there's no indentation, there's no cutout that keeps this from sliding back and forth. So what happened with me is I attached this flashlight, and this is a super light flashlight. The heaviest part of this flashlight is the battery. I attached it here, and then I clamped it on. And I had it as far back as possible because that's where my thumb placement was the best for the light, and that worked the best for me. But what happened on the recoil is it went forward, and it went all the way to where it was only stopped by this front sight, because this clamp right here, this portion of it, will actually meet up with the back of this front sight, and that's kind of what keeps it in place. The problem with that is, one, you have your flashlight sliding all around, so that's not great. Two, if you go to reach for your flashlight, it's not going to be in the same spot, so you don't have that consistency. And I forget what number I'm on, but in addition to that, if you have your flashlight where it's further forward, let's say you have something that's on a scout light mount, it's going to be past your barrel at that point when it slides forward. So all of those reasons kind of negate this thing from being useful at all, at least for me. Now, you could still use it as a clamp, and you could have it right here so you have more retention on your magazine tube cover, but it would have to stay right there, and I would position it right to the very back of this so it doesn't slide around. But that's all it does. It's not good for anything else. You could say, well, you could still attach a sling. Technically, yes, but again, you have the problem of it sliding around, and you also have the problem of this not having any holes for the detents of your QD sling, so it's going to freely rotate 360 degrees. That's going to twist up your sling. It's going to make it bad for using the sling and storing this with a sling on it because it just freely rotates. So that's not great either. All in all, this seems like kind of an afterthought for Beretta, and I thought they would think this through a little bit more, especially with seeing how people have done things in the aftermarket market to this shotgun, but they just gave us this plastic garbage, unfortunately. So another reason why we need a different forend, because this has no way of attaching anything, and this is the only thing that stays in place. And now it's time for your favorite portion of the video, what's in the box. This is the portion of the video where I show you what's in the box. Pow! Ta-da, it's out of the bag. So this is the bag that this handguard comes in, and then it has bubble wrap all around it in a bigger box. Nothing too crazy there as far as packaging goes. You have the little adapter piece here that works with the detent and the magazine tube cover that's added from Langdon Tactical, heat shield, and then you have these little nubs here that help it to attach to the receiver. So there's the forend. Nothing crazy here. You don't really have to do anything as far as like putting this together to install it. It's pretty straightforward. Now let's take a look at what's in the Magpul box. This is obviously going to be the stock and all the adapter stuff. Ta-da! Got a Magpul sticker. Can never have too many of these, right? I've got like 100 of them probably at this point. We have a custom without compromise LTT sticker, which is pretty rad. This is going on the safe for sure. Also have a little pamphlet from LTT. Pretty cool. There is a stock installation instruction guide from Magpul, but keep in mind and maybe look at this with a grain of salt, because this is going to be specific to a Mossberg 590 or 500 series shotgun. There may be some differences in this installation guide and the installation guides you have here. These are provided by GG&G, and this one is for the stock itself, so you know how to install everything. And this one is for the Zukov furniture, which is the handguard that we just looked at. I'll pull out the stock itself because that's probably what you want to see in the bag first. I know I do. Pretty cool. You can change these out so you can adjust the height for your cheek. You can adjust the length of pull with all of these things and all of these things. And then right here, there's a little plate. Where is it? I think it's in this one. Yeah, there's a little plate in here to cover this up once you put the hardware in there. There's also a tool that they provide, a little Allen key, or actually a pretty big Allen key, and then a little adapter here for this that goes right in this channel here. And then you also have, and this is actually stapled together, you have your adapter piece, which is by GG&G as well, that goes here, and then that allows you to connect it to the rear end of the receiver for the Beretta 1301 Tactical. That's the adapter piece right here. And then there are your little bits of hardware to attach that. And that's it. As a little treat, I'm gonna have these two items Cerakoted so that the end product will look super cool, fat, and dope. All I need to do to prepare these for Cerakote for Odin's Workshop is to take this piece off here, because I want this to stay black. This will be a different color. So this one's prepped and ready for Cerakote. Then all I have to do for this one is take off this rubber butt pad, pardon my French, and then this one will be ready. Just gonna take a flathead screwdriver, and with Magpul's design, it's pretty easy. All you have to do is take this screw out, and then you can just slide this off. Wow! So I'll keep this on because I want that to be a different color, but yeah, pretty cool system. This goes in each one of these holes depending on how many spacers you have in there. Now I'm just going to take all of these adapters that came with it, and I'm going to attach them because I want these to all be the same Cerakoted color, so I don't have to pay extra to Cerakote them later. Genius. Oh! So hold those together, slide this back in like so. Ow. There we go. There's a super long stock for you to look at while I put this back together. All right, now we'll put this screw back in. Now the final thing you'll need to do, or that I'll need to do to get this ready for Cerakote, is take off this rubber butt pad, because they're not gonna paint that. So just with a Phillips head, and voila, magic, movie magic, it's off. Pretty thick pad too, respect. All right, now we are ready for Cerakote. First, let's remove this old stock with a Phillips head screwdriver. There's two long screws that you'll need to remove to take off the butt pad. Once you do so, you can remove the butt pad and any spacers that you might have in there for length of pull adjustment. In order to pull the stock off at this point, you'll need to remove that huge washer and nut by using a 1/2 inch socket. You'll probably also need something in terms of an extension for your socket wrench and the socket wrench itself. Make sure you're going lefty-loosey, because that's the way that you loosen it. You can now pull off the stock, set that aside along with the washer, the anti-rotational ring, and the nut. Those won't be needed for the new stock. Next, take off this little plastic ring. This helps very slightly adjust the angle of the existing stock, but not enough to make enough of a difference for us. Take an adjustable crescent wrench and find that there are flats at the end of that long thingy. Use it lefty-loosey to take off that long thingy and set it aside. You don't need that either for the installation of the new stock. Now we can start with the new parts. We have the hardware kit to install the stock right here. We have our 3 pieces consisting of kind of a replacement for that long thingy in the middle. We have a washer and we have a nut, and then we also have that adapter that will go on as well. Now for Magpul Direct, we have these 3 pieces. We don't need 2 of them. We don't need that Allen key or that nut. We only need this little plastic guy. And what this little plastic guy does is it fits into the stock where it meets the adapter. It just helps complete that semicircle and helps fill in that gap. Now let's replace that long thingy, shall we, with this short thingy. It just threads in the same exact spot. We're going to use some 242 blue Loctite, just a little bit of it, so that we can keep this in place, because this is kind of going to be our link to the rest of the stock, connecting it to the receiver. You can go ahead and thread it in by hand, get it hand tight, and then there's also flats on this, so you can use that adjustable crescent wrench again to snug it down a little bit more. But don't snug it too tight because you don't want to strip the threads. The GG&G adapter can only go on one way. It'll be smooth up against the sides for the rear of the receiver and the adapter, and GG&G will be on top. Then you'll take that plastic piece, make sure that's still in the stock again, push it up against it, and then you'll take the nut and the washer with the washer pre-installed, put some blue Loctite on it and thread it in by hand. Then you'll have to make sure you have the exact Allen key that you need. You'll have to do 1/8 turns because it's a tight spot and you can't use anything with a longer handle to get any leverage. Once you're done with that, just take your cover, snap it into place, and you're done. The forend's even easier. Just take off your magazine tube cover, slide off your OEM forend, and set that aside if you still want it. Whing! To install the forend, you just slide on the Zukov portion of the forend. You're gonna have to click it into place or just pull those two sides apart to get it over that hump of the internals, then push those nubs at the end into the receiver. Make sure that's seated firmly. Take the LTT adapter for the front of it, make sure that clicks into place, and then take your magazine tube cover and put it back on just like you would any time you're putting the gun back together after cleaning. You can, if you want, put that barrel clamp on for aesthetics maybe. It doesn't really do much else, but you can do that if you want. Hey, look at us. We did it! I'll put on my flashlight again, put on my side saddle again. And now, I think you guys have earned some B-roll. Enjoy. Final thoughts. Well, now that this is all put together, what do I think about this shotgun? Aesthetically, it is menacing. I mean, this Ranger green with the black, the flashlight, the side saddle, all this stuff, it just looks rad. I mean, it couldn't have turned out any better if I did it myself. And I did put it together myself, but I didn't do it myself, if you know what I mean. This is from Langdon Tactical as far as the furniture set goes, like we talked about before. This furniture set from Langdon Tactical with the adapters is $334 on their website, but then you can also add things to the kit. So if you want to add something to put a 509T on this, or a RMR on this, or an aim point on this, you can buy that in addition, and it's in a discount if you purchase it as the whole kit, but you can also buy it separately on their website. Also on their website, you can get the GG&G side saddle thing. That's something you can add. But otherwise, this is, I think, the least expensive kit that you can get for this shotgun if you want this furniture set. And that's what I did because I'm cheap and I want to buy things as I go to see if I need them or not. Kind of what I've been doing this whole series, because the shotgun itself for most people is around $1,500. I got a really good deal on this shotgun. I think it was $1,200 and something dollars, just shy of $1,300. So with that extra money that I saved, I pretty much put it into this shotgun with the $334 furniture set, with the Odin's Workshop Ranger Green Cerakote for $100. If you want Ranger Green, just ask for Magpul Foliage Green, and it's pretty much Ranger Green. With the S-Tac shot shell holders, which I think these were like $15-ish plus like a couple bucks for Velcro. And then this Polytac X from Streamlight, which was $40. This mount, which is from Arson Machine Co., which was $50. And I think that's pretty much it. There are a couple other things I'm going to be buying for this when we're talking about cost, because I guess we're at that point of the video where we're talking about cost. And that's going to be a cheek riser set from Magpul. It's going to be the 0.50 to 0.75 kit, so it comes with 2 pieces to make this higher. So ideally, I can also buy a 509T, put it on the pick rail, and then have a co-witness, or actually I really would want a lower 1/3 co-witness with the irons and the red dot. That would be sick. If that doesn't work out though, I can always purchase the adapter thing for the 509T that would remove this. It would replace it with something I could just direct mount the 509T to, and then I can have a peephole rear sight that replaces this, that's all metal, or a half peephole, or like a, looks like that type of sight for the rear sight. So that's something that I could do if I need to, but for right now, I'm going to be ordering that cheek riser kit, which I think is like 25 bucks, somewhere around there. And then the other thing that I'm going to add or purchase is going to be something for, where is it, right here, something to attach a QD to for Magpul, which is I think like another 20 bucks, just so I can do the quick detach sling stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all the other stuff I'm going to do to this though, which will be in future videos. Probably the next video will be the ability to showing you how to switch this out for higher cheek risers. And then I've already adjusted the length of pull, which is pretty easy. I think I added 3 sections because I'm tall, I'm 6'3", so this gives me a good length of pull for this shotgun. It's really comfortable. I just need to get my cheek a little bit higher, which is something I'll have to get after this video, which you'll see a future video on. And now it's time for how this shotgun works update. In my very first video in this series, I talked about the differences between the Gen 1, 2, and 3 of this shotgun. This is the Gen 3 in case you're wondering. And I also talked about the fatal flaw and how to unload this shotgun. And one of the things that was brought to my attention in the comment section of that video by this guy was that there is another way to unload the shotgun that could potentially be safer and an easier way to do it. So I want to go over first how I showed to unload the shotgun in the video, and then I'll show his way, or I guess an additional way that I didn't know about in the next part of the video, so you can see the 2 ways to do it and you can kind of gather your own pros and cons, but also give you my pros and cons on which one I prefer or might not prefer depending on the situation. First, here's the method that I showed in my previous video, and that is pressing this button here to have a round come out of the magazine tube onto the lifting gate. It only loads 1 round at a time, so by pressing this you're not going to induce any double feeds, and then racking it. Now you have that round in the chamber. Pressing this button again for another round, and just racking and pressing that button in that sequence. Second option is one that's growing on me, and that is where you take your fingers or finger, you push in the loading gate. That's very important. If you don't do this step, you're going to induce a double feed. That's the con of this, but if you do it right, there's no con. Push in this loading gate with your thumb, and then take your other finger or fingers and pull on this. We'll use it as a lever in this case, but it is actually technically a button. It's the bolt catch bolt release button. Pull outward on this and it will release 1 round. The only reason it's releasing 1 round though is because you are stopping it with your thumb and you're no longer pulling on this lever, so it'll just take out 1 round. That's it. That's the whole unloading method. To do it again, you simply do that method again. Push in with your thumb, grab like this, pull it out, just keep doing that. I'm starting to really like this method more than the method I showed because at no point in this unloading procedure am I loading around into the chamber. So it's definitely a lot safer of a method if I already have the chamber cleared and I'm just trying to get the rounds out of the tubular magazine. This makes a lot more sense because I'm still able to hold the same grip and I'm able to pop these out one by one. So I'm not worried about inducing any double feed and having them all come out. And it is a safer method for sure. The only downside is if you do it wrong. And I guess really there's a downside to everything if you do it wrong, right? So the downside would be, and I'll illustrate it painfully because I'm going to have to clear this later, but I'll illustrate what happens if you do it wrong. So I just really need 2 rounds in here for this demonstration, but if you just pull on this lever and you don't push in here, what this is going to do, it's not going to discriminate how many rounds are coming out. It's just going to release the floodgates. So when I pull on this, it released as many rounds as possible into the loading gate, which was like 1 3/4. The problem with that is I'm trying to clear this. I obviously can't get the rounds out this way because this is blocked and I can't push it in. I'll try to rack it this way, but now it's locked. And if you want to look in this way, you can see where the problem is. You have part of one round that's in this tubular magazine still, and then you have the other round that's here, but the loading gate can't go up because the loading gate is caught on this round up here. So what you end up having to do, let's see if I can do it on camera for you, is you end up having to, I can usually get it with my pinky, but I kind of have to roll it over the other way. But you basically have to get this one out of the way enough to pop this first one out. That one fell this time, and then you can load this one in. But in clearing the double feed, you're loading the shotgun again. So not great. But those are the 2 methods. The one is just basically loading the gun and unloading it at the same time, but using this little release here so that you don't have to pull the trigger to get the next round in. The other method is the method I just showed you. You let me know in the comment section below what makes more sense to you, which you prefer, and if you knew about both of these loading methods, or if this is also news to you, because it was news to me. And I really appreciate you guys informing me in the comment section below stuff that I didn't know about this shotgun, because this is a newer shotgun to me, as it probably is to you watching. Hey, are you guys still here? Well, if you are, then I have a couple things that I want you to know, and then I'll do something extra at the end of the video. All right, you ready? First thing is that if you'd like to help support the channel, best way to do so is by clicking the links in the description or in the pinned comment below. Exclusive discounts for you, you can buy awesome stuff, and it also helps support the channel at the same time. It doesn't cost you any extra. The other thing is that I take prayer requests. So if you have any prayer requests, I love praying for you guys. Put those prayers in the comment section below. And the last thing I'm going to show you is how I stage this for home defense, self-defense. Now, as you can see, I have my S-Tac shotgun card, but it is full of dummy rounds right now for this demonstration. But normally, this would all be double-aught buck. So I got 7 rounds on deck, and then I like to have this in a method called cruiser ready, or a condition called cruiser ready. Correct me if I'm wrong in the terminology here, as we refer to safety on, safety off, trigger pulled, all that stuff, because I am not a police officer. As you can see, I have completely unloaded shotgun right now, nothing in the tube, or I should say the chamber, nothing on the lifter, and nothing in the magazine tube. But what I can do is I can fully load this magazine, and I can rack it, and nothing happens. The Beretta 1301 is great because you can do round select like nobody's business. You got a buckshot in there, you need a slug, rack out the slug, put in buckshot, you're done. Doesn't load anything from the magazine at all, which is great. The only way that you can have it load from the magazine is by pressing this button here, or again, pulling that thing like we talked about before. So this is great because I can do a ghost load with this shotgun. So what I'm going to do with the fully loaded tube or a fully loaded magazine is I'm going to do a ghost load. So I'm going to pull this back. I'm going to take another round, put it in here, and I'm going to push down so that it's pushing down the lifter and it's on the lifter. I'm going to ride the bolt home while I'm keeping this round down. And then congratulations, if you did the same thing I did, you just ghost loaded your shotgun. So now that it's ghost loaded, I'm going to double, triple check, make sure that there's nothing in the chamber. Okay, we're good there. Now, at this point, there's a couple options depending on how spicy you want to get. The first of which is keeping the safety on and having it in this condition. So now this could potentially be cruiser ready, depending on what your definition is. There's nothing in the chamber, and the benefit of nothing in the chamber is that most shotguns not being drop safe. If you drop this, it's not going to go off because there's nothing in the chamber. Also, if you go to grab it and you grab the wrong spot in the middle of the night and you actually get your finger in the trigger guard, it's not going to go off because there's nothing in the chamber. Those are some pros. Also, a pro to ghost loading and having it in this condition is that you don't lose that round that would normally be in the chamber because it's just down here. And it's also drop safe at the same time. So that's pretty cool. So now you have 7 rounds plus 8. You got 8 rounds pretty ready, but not completely ready, but it's also drop safe. Now, in order to actually use this, all I would have to do is rack it, bring it on target, and pop the safety off, and then I'm ready to go. Another option for this cruiser ready stuff is to get a little bit spicier, and instead of having in that condition, turning the safety off, again, double, triple checking, nothing's in the chamber, pointing in a safe direction, and pulling the trigger. Now, all you have to do at this point, when you need to use it, is rack it, and then you're ready to use it. You don't have to mess with the safety. There's pros and cons to that. It is less safe to have the safety off. Either way, though, there's nothing in the chamber, so it's still drop safe. But when you're handling it in the heat of the moment, are you going to have good trigger discipline? You should. I mean, if you're using handguns, most handguns don't have an external safety, and you would practice that type of discipline with a handgun. But for whatever reason, if you're thinking, no, that's super unsafe, I want to keep the safety on, that's fine. You can do that too. You just have to remember when you're bringing it up on target to turn that safety off, and that has to do with training. So if you're not worried about, well, I guess if you're more worried about remembering to turn the safety off in the heat of the moment and potentially dying because you have the safety on and we're trying to pull the trigger, then the spicier method makes more sense. If you're more worried about accidentally pulling the trigger when you're not supposed to, you need more training. And in which case, also, the first method with the safety on makes more sense. But either way, you're either eliminating obstacles to being able to pull the trigger and shoot the bad guy, or you are making more layers of safety on top that you have to remember to do. So either way is a method. Which way is truly cruiser ready? You tell me in the comment section below, but this has been hopefully an idea for you, or a couple ideas for you on how to load your shotgun for home defense. And specifically the 1301 shotgun for home defense. Well, that's going to be it for me and the Beretta 1301 Tactical with its latest upgrades. Be sure to stay tuned for further videos in this series by clicking the playlist at the end of this video. And as always, thanks for watching, stay free, and God bless.
What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, I think that we've all had enough. Yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh yeah, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. Hey, it's too late.